friends and guests. I must thank Kerala Press Academy and Rajendran ji for inviting me here. Because Cochin is one of the very favorite places for me. From here I can go to Kanyakumari to touch the feet of Bharat Mata and the backwaters. And I have been to Alleppey and other places, and I have always enjoyed coming to the south because south has very special flavor and meaning for me. And I must say also that the people in the south are far more gentler than we people in the north. Maybe because of the historical fact that north was invaded by the Mughals, by Afghans, by everybody, and that's why we become aggressive. But when I come here in the south, especially Kerala, the people are far more gentle, and it's nice to be here. Journalism in India has grown quite a bit, and there was time in 1960s and 70s when we had editors like Frank Moray, S. Mulgaonkar, and even Kuldeep Nair to some extent, when they will write, the comments will shake. And the last one was, I think, Arun Shourie. But Arun Shourie himself became the government at one time, So, you see, unfortunately now the trend, especially in the north, is not very healthy. Now we are all friends with politicians of all kinds. We are friends with bureaucrats. I remember, when I was with the Statesman at that time in 1970s, Statesman used to be very important papers. But we were told not to hobnob on personal level with bureaucrats and with ministers and politicians, so that when you do the story and photographs, you can do it honestly. Now, you see, somebody has coined this word, infotainment. And that has brought in a lot of disaster for serious journalism. Because infotainment is a joke for me. People who are doing, journalists who are doing serious work in social areas, they need to look at life very seriously and honestly and report it honestly. But infotainment is something so terrible that you have to entertain people through journalism is a very, very cheap slogan or a word somebody has coined. But, looking at our papers from the north, like Hindu is also being published from Delhi, and still people think Hindu is a better paper than Times of India, Hindustan Times, or many other papers, because most newspapers in Delhi, they've lost their face. The first page is just ad. And I remember, in our days, when there was an ad bigger than 3 columns on front page, the editor will throw it away. He'll say, it's creating trouble for our editorial methods. We can't take such a big ad. And now newspapers have lost their face. It's all full of ads in the front page. But fortunately, in the south, things are still very different, and people stand still very committed. Namaskar. You see, I believe Malayalam Manorama has a circulation of, I will not say 2 million, but 20 lakhs, because 2 million sounds very foreign, When we say 20 lakhs, it's a huge, huge number. None of our modern Indian newspapers have this kind. Or Mathrubhumi, Rajendran ji was telling me that they have 15 lakh circulation, which is huge, huge circulation. And it also shows, that the people here are more illiterate than in our part of the world. But honestly speaking, the commitment must come from the soul that you are concerned, When I was with India Today, in our editorial meetings, I used to get very upset, that here we are in big cities serving the big guys, all the ministers and all the bureaucrats, and everything is written about them. But imagine, if we were to go to small towns, to villages, to rural areas, and look into the lives of ordinary people, that's where the most stories lie, and bulk of my work in photojournalism and in my personal work in creative photography comes from ordinary daily lives of ordinary people, and they matter to me the most, and that's what matters, because it's bulk of the population, how they live their daily lives should be the criteria, and not that this minister leaving this party and joining others, and these ugly faces, most of them, I'm very sorry to say this, you get to see them every day of it in every newspaper. And imagine if you were putting pictures and stories of ordinary people and their problems, maybe these politicians and bureaucrats will know that if they want to get a publicity or a photograph published, then they should be working with those ordinary people in those rural areas. So here we are in big cities serving the big guys, which is a very unfortunate trend. And I'm sure in the south you have more access and more concern about the rural masses. Well, I have served my innings in a newspaper for 10 years, and then 3 years with Sunday Magazine and 10 years with India Today, but we did make sure that whatever stories, cover stories and important stories we did, they were the most important issues, and they came from our guts, and with our, will to make it, whatever difference we could, through journalism. So I tell you, it depends on individuals, how committed they are, and if they are good explorers, and if they want to make a difference to the lives of people around them, they still can do it, because a good story, well done. I remember, when I left India Today after a few years, I met Arun Puri at a party, and I asked him, I said, so what are you doing these days? He says, oh, Raghu, print journalism is becoming very redundant, and it's the electronic media, the television is going to take over. And so, at that time they were starting their headlines today and various other channels, coming into action. And even at that time, that was 20 years, not 20, maybe 18 years ago, I told him, I said, let me tell you, a good story, well researched, with a good photograph, will always remain more important than a story seen on a TV screen, because TV screen is a flickering screen. Stories come and disappear, photographs come and disappear, and people would like to hold a publication which has done a story very seriously, and a good picture which is a window to the world, and they will like to read it and see it and keep it in their records. And I still hold that opinion that print journalism can never go out of fashion unless we stay responsible and we come from our guts to do the relevant stories which concern the masses. I wish you all the best. I can go on because I have got 40 years of experience in journalism and photojournalism. I wish you all the best, and hopefully the journalism here flourishes, and especially photojournalism. And I hope they give you enough space in your newspapers, but you have to fight, because I see so many photographers sitting here. You have to work hard when you get into a situation. Come out with a good picture and fight for your space, and that's the only way to get it. So I wish you all the best, and God bless everyone. Thank you.